Aloha, my love. Happy New Year. Happy 2026. I can't believe we are here. And I have to confess, I don't know about you. You let me know down below if it feels this way for you too. But I really don't feel like 2025 is done and dusted fully just yet. And I have always resonated more with the lunar calendar and the Chinese New Year. So part of me feels like we still have a few weeks here of the kind of tail end of the snake to be wrapping things up and releasing and refining and all the things. And so but by the same token, there has been an energetic shift from the 9-year cycle into a brand spanking new 10 or 1 cycle. And so we've got potent new beginnings, and I did want to hop on here and wish you a new year, happy new year regardless. And I wanted to tell you about a little bit of a magical message that came through as a result of being visited by a fruit bat, which you'll see in the thumbnail. And it's really kind of crazy because as long as we've been living here, which is I think like 13, 14 years on this, farm property in a small horse community. We've had, it's, we're in nature and a kind of rural area. And so we have had all kinds of animals, like not only visit the farm, but as far as the ones that like got inside the house or the barn area space, which is where I'm at now, my office in the barn. We've had squirrels in here. We've had a couple of snakes, lizards, and a few other like pests, insects, that type of thing, with Florida and the heat and humidity. But we've never had a bat. And so it was so crazy. A few nights back, I guess we had some freezing like temperature, which also doesn't happen very often. And we're guessing it must have, found its way in here to get out of the cold, which is, totally fun. It wasn't hurting anything. But for me, it was actually a very magical, almost supernatural experience to see it. And at first I wasn't quite sure what it was, and I kept staring at it and trying to take pictures of it from different angles and zooming in. I was like, oh my God, that's a bat. And I immediately heard rebirth, and I thought that was so fitting because with, again, crossing the threshold into 2026 and the new year, so many of us, myself included, are really stepping into our next level and, connecting with our vision and our goals. I'm not a fan of New Year's resolutions, but anyway, there is this feeling of new beginnings, right? This really powerful, potent new beginning. And at the same time, while a lot of people are like just, full throttle out the gate, and I'm amazed by them, I have to say, and I want to encourage you, if you resonate with being a sensitive soul and a deep feeler and a dark horse too, and you haven't been fully feeling the the fire yet to launch into the new year, I want you to know, A, you are not alone, and B, to really allow yourself, gift yourself the space and the grace to continue to reflect and refine and be in your hibernation mode, if that's where you're at. I know I have been in different ways and trying to do a digital detox, and this is my first video of the year, but I wanted to share about this rebirth piece and going a little bit deeper on that in terms of it not having to be because like the calendar changed, right? Like the calendar changed, and we're in 2026, and yes, there's been an energetic shift, but if you're not feeling it yet, okay, I want to invite you to honor that. I want to invite you to lean into, like, does your body, does your biology want you to lean back and to rest and digest, right? Because I think we can get swept up in the holiday and the New Year hustle and all the things. And again, if that resonates and you're feeling the fire, like, more power to you. Go for it. Go for it. But if you're not, okay, and I the reason I'm making this is because I haven't fully felt it myself yet, and I'm really intentionally kind of slowing down and allowing myself to, lean into the flow and my body's like natural rhythms and messages and what she wants, and also really feeling like I still have some, digesting, if you will, and metabolizing of last year's, some of the events of last year, which was really, really insane and intense in a lot of ways. I mean, extraordinary and beautiful and magical in others, but really challenging in other ways. And with the massive shedding and the, of the year of the snake. And that's why I feel like the lunar year for me resonates more fully in terms of the new year, the Chinese zodiac. Anyway, that being said, we can rebirth ourselves a little bit every day. Okay, I want you to know that. And it doesn't have to be like this race to where, okay, the calendar, the day changed, and now it's a new year, and now you're off to the races. Okay, I think so much of society, and especially in the coaching industry and all, I'm amazed at all of the emails and all the things that just, they didn't even miss a beat through the holidays. And and again, if that works for them, that's great. But as a dark horse, as a deep feeler, I'm not wired that way. And chances are, if you're watching this, you aren't either. And I want to invite you and give you permission, even though you don't need it from me, permission to pause. You get to pause, you get to rest, you get to reflect, you get to digest. Because here's the thing, as deep feelers, right, if we go charging out the gate, on day one and go along with what society and everybody else is telling us to do, or we think we should be doing, right? We are overriding our nervous system. We are overriding our biology. We are overriding the fact that we are deeply in tune with the seasons and cycles of nature, right? And this is something that my horses have taught me over the years, to actually attune to that more, because obviously they live off of the earth, right? And so, the animals, right, they have that wisdom, and so we can learn from them. And so this bat medicine that I want to share with you a little bit, this is from my medicine card book, the very first book, tarot book that I ever met when I was in vet school up in Ithaca. There was a little new age bookstore, and I used to go in there and I would read this for hours and pull the cards and all the things. Anyway, I wanted to read to you two parts here. One is the little poem that they have at the beginning. Sacred bat flew to me from the darkness of the cave. Womb-like reflections, answers it gave. Birth, death, rebirth, cycles of the whole, never ending, just eclipsed, the journey of the soul. And so this piece is it is never ending, right? Our work, our evolution, our growth, our expansion, our elevation is never ending, right? So it's not a race, and you get to go at your own pace, okay? And so, and I'm not talking about if you're someone who feels like you're stuck and you're procrastinating, and that's a different story. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, someone who is perhaps feeling like I did for a hot minute, oh my gosh, everybody else is already, putting offers out and selling things, and it's, like I said, they didn't even take a beat through the holidays. And there was a part of me that felt like this, initially like this pressure, like I should be, doing more. And I, have been cultivating the practice of leaning back and listening to, myself and my own rhythm. And while, yes, I will say towards the end of the last year, I did get swept up a bit in that holiday hustle. And I think that's part of why I feel like I have a bit more to digest in terms of, things in 2025 that need to be metabolized in terms of lessons, in terms of mining the gold, all the things, right? In terms of who I was being, more importantly, most importantly over anything else. And therefore, which is reflected back to me in my relationships and my results and all the things, right? And so, really, I want to just, let you know and remind you that if you haven't been feeling like fully, motivated, you haven't been feeling the fire again to get started with your 2026, goals or resolutions, and I hate that word, then, that it's okay. And there's nothing wrong with you. And it's simply your biology, your nervous system, your body letting you know that it just needs a bit more space and grace to rest and digest. Okay. So the other piece that I wanted to bring in about the bat, I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's kind of long, but this was really, it was amazing because when I saw the bat, like I immediately, rebirth was what came through. But then I kept, over the next couple of days, I kept thinking about like, like it was so amazing because I'd never really been that close to one. So amazing, like the way it was hanging upside down. And then I thought about like the hangman and tarot and that, that card where it's inviting you to, like, again, sacred pause, like pause and maybe look at things from a different perspective, right? So this piece here caught my attention. It says hanging upside down is a symbol for learning to transpose your former self into a newborn being. This is also the position that babies assume when they enter the world through the womb of a woman. And so, that was really powerful. I had never really thought of that in terms of the symbolism of the hanging upside down with the bat. And so it's kind of like this death to the old self as we are being born anew. And so anyway, I wanted to share those kind of magical messages, if you will, from the bat that came to visit us, and my own take on this whole idea of rebirth and giving yourself permission to pause. And so again, especially as a deep feeler, because when we override that, then actually not only is it not sustainable, not only do we, move forward and then we end up carrying and repeating like, maybe patterns and things that we don't want to. Whereas when we take the time and give yourself, again, that space and grace to reflect, to rest, to digest, to integrate and process and refine, maybe release and refine, things that maybe didn't quite go the way we wanted or hoped or planned, right? And therefore not carry. The most important piece is we don't want to carry in our bodies the energetic imprints of the stress, the challenges, the traumas, whatever heartache or disappointment, whatever you experienced last year. You don't want to carry that with you into the new year, right? And unless you've already done the work, chances are your body is holding those memories, holding those, again, energetic imprints, because they didn't get discharged from the body. And so here's the thing, we can, you can have a new year start just because the calendar is a new day. Trauma doesn't know, right? Trauma, if you have trauma that's unresolved, that's unprocessed, that's undigested, that's hanging out in your body, it doesn't matter if it's a new day. I mean, that thing people say, like, time will heal. And yes, while maybe the charge can lessen over time, I do believe, again, especially as deep feelers who are wired differently, if you haven't actually discharged that energy and moved that energy through you in some kind of way that's healthy and aligned and feels good for you, you're still carrying that. And that, because you feel everything so deeply, right? And so your consciousness can hook on that, right? And continue to attract more of that, right? The feeling or the emotions, or you can get stuck in that trauma loop, right? I mean, that's what the trauma loop is. You get stuck in that. If you don't release the charge, you get stuck in that trauma loop, and you're going to end up again repeating more of the same, which I don't want for you, and I'm guessing you don't want either. And so anyway, I just wanted to, speak to this because that was on my heart to share. And again, the message from the bat. And I just want to let you know at the end of the day, again, that you are like truly more powerful, more deserving, more magical, more amazing than you even realize. And it is in that sacred pause where we get to birth something new, right? And unleash your greatest potential, because that still point, that sacred pause, is where all of our power lies, and it is the portal to creation. And so if you want some help with this, I don't want to leave you hanging. I have a couple of resources I want to mention to you before I go. One, if you haven't checked it out already, I have a playlist with I think 6 or 7 meditation processes on there, timeless tracks for different things. But my Power of Presence, the POP meditation process, that is a really powerful one for, again, that pause and connecting to stillness and your body, and really allowing yourself to be in that present moment if that's something you're not used to doing. Okay, that practice, it's free, save it, you can come back anytime you like. The other thing that I want to mention to you, if you are resonating with today's conversation, I go much deeper in the podcast that I dropped on the Bat Medicine and Sacred Rebirth, where I also share through the lens of TCM and trauma-informed research, this whole, I go more in more depth around why you really want to metabolize and alchemize the energetic imprints from our past stressful events or traumatic situations that are held in your body until you discharge them. Okay, so if you're interested in that topic, I go much deeper. I think it's like a 45-minute podcast. So that I will also have linked down below. And then the last piece is I have put together over the holidays a sacred pause holiday reflection bundle. And I intentionally and lovingly gathered a collection of some of my favorite practices and transmissions to help you really tap into and cultivate that body love. There's one for healing your inner child. There's this really magical, one of my favorite ones, Dark Horse, Divine Love for Magic and Miracles. So there are like 4 or 5 transmissions in there. My brain is, I can't remember exactly now. No, 5 actually. Yeah, there's 5 transmissions and 5 videos. They're guided breath work, AM, PM, and afternoon tiramisu or pick me up. There's one, my Venus Bliss breath, which is something for a little bit more sensual. And I have my facial gua sha as a bonus video tutorial in there, and it's on special right now for a limited time. Depending on when you're seeing this, that information will be down below. And really my intention was that you have some really powerful practices to come back to, not only to do them now at this kind of you know, it can be like a tender time of the end of the year, but also like, you know, it's the gift that keeps on giving. Like you will want to come back to time and again and weave them into your daily rhythm, you know, moving forward, like in the new year and beyond. So check that out. Again, if you are ready to nourish your body, mind, and spirit and really move some of the energies and just, again, give yourself that gift, that permission to pause and start tapping into the creative potential that is always available for you. And remember your magic. Remember how amazing you are. And so with that, my love, I am going to let you go. And until next time, ciao for now. I love you. Namaste.